Hey everybody, Corn-Fed Lady here, and welcome to our homestead. So spring came a little bit early for us here in central Illinois, and now we have food growing everywhere. So let me show you what we've got going on here in our veggie garden, and then I'll take you over and show you our fruit tree orchard, and then I'll take you up to the front of our property and show you what's going on in our berry garden. So come on. So out here in our veggie garden, we've got this woven cloth to prevent weeds from coming up, and we've planted a row of each kind of thing in here. So let me take you through and show you. The first thing that we've got on the end here is potatoes. I did make a video on how I planted these with the no-dig method. I absolutely love and recommend the no-dig method. You do not have to dig to plant them, and you do not have to dig to harvest them. So all we do is drop the potatoes on the ground, put some straw on top, and let it be. And right after our potato bed is our row of carrots. I like the Scarlet Nantes. They're a little bit more of a reddish orange, and they're very sweet. So I've got a row of those going. Now I did have a row of lettuce seeded in here, but it never took. So I've gone back since then and put in another row of beans. And this is actually a row of pinto beans that I've just put in a couple days ago, so they're not yet sprouting. But sometimes you'll have that. Sometimes you'll have some old seeds. I think those lettuce seeds I put in were like 4 or 5 years old, so that's why they didn't take. But the new bean seeds should do fine, the pintos. And in the next row, we've got a little bit of spinach on the end here. And then down from that is some Chinese cabbage. And these are all doing very well in this row. The next row is a purple kale. And this was supposed to be blue curled Scotch, but it's not. They sent us this other variety, which is fine because most of the kale either just goes into our salads or it goes to the animals as treats. Okay, after the kale there, we've got 3 rows of beans here. This first row is Provider green beans. The second row is a yellow wax bean, and the third row is called Dragon's Tongue. It's kind of like a purplish speckled white bean, and I'll have to show you those when they start coming in. They haven't started producing beans yet, but you can see everything's really thriving in here. Okay, next up we've got some snap peas. Now, when I first planted this snap pea row, I used some old snap peas that I had laying around, some old seeds, and I did get a couple here and a couple there, but that was it in the whole row. So I've gone back with some new snap pea seeds, and I've filled in or reseeded in between those. So there are more snap peas coming in, and I did put in a simple little trellis, just a couple of posts with some strings going across. And that's enough for the snap peas to hold on to. Now these don't usually take that long to start producing food, so we should start getting some pea pods pretty soon off of these. Next to the snap peas, we've got 3 rows of tomatoes, and we did put in some stronger trellising for those with T-posts and a metal fence. This first row is Roma tomatoes, and that's for saucing. So we're going to make tomato sauce out of those. The second row is cherry tomatoes, so it's really good for snacking on. And the third row is our slicing Rutger tomatoes. And then after the tomatoes, we've got some peppers. I seeded in some bell peppers, and these are just good for chopping up in dinner dishes. They're starting to sprout. They're not very big yet, but that's okay because the row right behind are the pepper starts that we started off in the house over the early spring, late winter months. And now these pepper plants, they have actually started producing. I haven't harvested any yet, but you can see they are starting to grow some peppers here and there on some of the plants. So pretty soon we'll be able to get some peppers back in our dishes. So the fun thing about this row, unlike the row in front of it where I know it's all bell peppers, I kind of got messed up on some of the labeling with these pepper starts. Some of them are like really super spicy and some of them are not, and I don't remember which one's which. So we're gonna have a fun little chili eating contest someday to see which ones are the spiciest. And on the end here, we've got some watermelons starting to sprout up. So you can see there's one there, there. They go on down the edge of our black cloth here, and we'll let those vine out into the pasture area where they have plenty of room to spread and produce the watermelon fruits. And in these little concrete beds on the side, I've got some garlic, and we planted this last fall, so it's coming in really well. And right next to that is the onions that we planted earlier this spring. That was in one of the earlier garden videos for this year. Oh, and I have a really neat surprise for those of you that have been following. So we did an experiment in here with peanuts, and I've never grown peanuts before, so I have no idea what I'm doing, which is why you don't see any growing in here except for this one. So we did get one peanut plant at least to come up, and hopefully the other ones are coming. Maybe this one was just the early bird. If not, then it's just our one little peanut plant in the whole peanut bed. But one is better than none, so at least we're trying. Okay, and on the other side of the cloth garden, we have our corn patch. Now, you may notice that there's not much in here. There's a little bit in this first row or two right here, and there's a couple back in there. There's like one here and one there. But our corn patch, for some reason, had trouble. Now, I think it might have had something to do with Gabby Kitty using this as her toilet. So I think a lot of the seeds got scratched up or eaten by mice. So they weren't able to sprout. But I did go back and reseed this whole thing. And you'll notice I have a couple strings in here. That's just marking where the rows are so that I could kind of get them in a straight line going there. But if all of these come in, we should have about 100. Well, that covers the veggie garden updates. Now let's take you back to the fruit tree orchard and show you how all our fruit trees are doing. So, like I said, just past our garden here is the fruit tree orchard. And we do have a cherry tree right here. It's not producing anything yet. There's an apple tree up there. It's also not producing. This is an apricot tree. I haven't seen anything on it yet. We've got a couple of bird cherry bushes that will be producing soon. And this one is an apple tree. Now this one actually does have the very first and only little apple. So we actually do have a piece of fruit on this tree. We'll have to see if it gets fully matured or not. And just beyond that one, we have a peach tree. We've actually got quite a few peach trees out here. And the peach trees this year are doing spectacular. So this is kind of a baby peach tree, and it's already got peaches all over it. This is the first year it's ever produced anything. And we have another apple tree here. I haven't seen anything on it yet. But these are all fairly new, a couple years old. That's another one of those bird cherry bushes. That's a cherry tree that's not producing yet. And this is another peach that is producing fruit. And again, these peach trees are only a couple years old, 2 or 3 years old, I believe. But they're already producing fruit. So we've got 2 peach trees in here and that one apple that are producing fruit. Okay, so that covers the updates on our fruit tree orchard. And again, this orchard's only a few years old, so as time goes on, it should start producing more and more, hopefully. That's the idea anyway. All right, I'm gonna take you up front and let you see what's going on in our berry garden next. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we do have this peach tree up in front by our house, and it's producing a bunch of peaches this year too. I don't know if I'll be able to get a picture of that because it's so tall, but hopefully you can see it's just speckled with fruit everywhere. So here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. They're all over. All right, well that brings us to the berry garden. And in here we grow all of our berries, obviously, and other things that are just little teeny tiny fruits. So first up in here, we've got some currants. And currants grow in a bundle, much like grapes. And you can see there's cascading bundles of currants everywhere in here. They're just endlessly, I don't know if you guys are catching all that on camera, but there are like endless amounts of fruit hanging in here. So pretty soon we'll be able to get a good harvest off of our currants. There were 4 bushes in here, but the one on the end died, so we just have 3 now. And just after the currants, we have some blueberry bushes. Now the birds have been picking these pretty hard, so there's not much left. But again, we have 4 blueberry bushes in here. Looks like this one still has some on top. So if the birds will let us, we might actually get some of these blueberries. And just behind the blueberries, we have a couple grapevines. This one, which is actually coming back. It was looking kind of dead and sparse to begin with, but it looks like it's getting some leaves. And I even see a little grape bundle in there. So this one is coming back from whatever trouble it had over the winter. This other one is doing just fine. And hopefully you can see on here, it has bundles everywhere. So we should be getting a good amount of grapes, and hopefully the birds don't eat all those before we pick them too. And I just got to make note of this. This is my dad's old rhubarb plant, and it is doing spectacular. Now I know some people are going to frown that I let it flower, but I'm really just allowing this to get established and fully overgrown and take over this whole corner before I start taking anything from it to make rhubarb pies. And next to the rhubarb, we have a row of blackberries and another row of blackberries. You can see that they are flowering, or they're finishing up flowering, and they're starting to produce some fruit. So in the years past, we have gotten thousands and thousands of blackberries off of these bushes. So many that I'm out here picking berries for like an hour every day, and I still can't get them all. So you can see they're just packed in there. Hopefully you can see that on here. I mean, they are thick. And of course, just past the blackberry rows, we have a couple of raspberry rows, and they're about the same way. They're coming in really thick with lots of flowers, which are slowly but surely turning into fruit. So you can see there's a bunch of little flowers, bunch of little buds. Pretty soon this is going to be just covered in raspberries. So hopefully you can see that. And again, we've got 2 rows of these. And we do get thousands and thousands of these also, more than I can pick and jam and freeze dry each day. We have tried to experiment with some cranberries in here. One of them is still alive, needs weeded, but the other one was taken over by this clump of grass, I believe, because I haven't seen the other one come back yet this year. So I'm not sure what happened there. We might have to get a new one for in this spot. But we do still have 1 cranberry bush. Well, that just about does it for all of our garden updates. If you're growing something where you live, please leave a comment below. We like to keep up with what our community is growing at your home as well. And if you do live out of the States, please leave that in your comment too, because it's exciting to see where everybody lives. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. It's free, and that way you won't miss out on our future videos. Anyway, y'all have a good one.